What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video. And today, Mike Renner dropped a 3-round mock draft. So y'all know I'm here to go and give Mike some good feedback. Mike is also someone who I respect a lot in the industry. To me, he probably is the number one. So it is always nice to be able to critique the guy who made me start to get really passionate about the draft. So let's get right into this. If you guys are new, would love for you guys to stick around. Like, comment, subscribe, do all your YouTube stuff. We have some big things in the works. Follow me on Twitter because I'm tweeting there all the time. I pray to God that Twitter Blue is worth it because I want to get some prospects onto here as well. I know that we have some interviews in the works as well, so that'd be super fun to be able to have some more faces on the channel. Let's get right into this because it's 3 rounds, so I really want to get through this as well as so do you. Round number 1, Panthers CJ. I'm surprised he didn't take Bryce here, but we all know the 1-2. Not going to really eval it anymore. It's pretty much beating a dead horse, as I usually like to say, beat a dead bush, but you guys know how to say that too. Arizona Cardinals going Will Anderson Jr. If they're going to stick there, that's the best pick. It's the best player in the draft. Indianapolis Colts going Anthony Richardson. I mean, this is literally how I start my mocks. Seattle Seahawks going Jalen Carter. To be fair, they just paid $51 million for it, but I hope that everything checks out. A subscriber made a really good point about, there was a comment saying the Raiders and multiple other teams have taken him completely off their draft boards. If they did that, why would they bring him in for a top 30 visit? You can use that for a lot of other players that matter. You wouldn't just scratch someone off and invite them into your house. That makes total sense to me. So I believe that that's kind of smoke. There's a good chance that Jalen Carter might actually not end up being as negatively perceived by the league as we expected. And if that's the case, Seahawks taking him at 5 is an excellent, excellent move. Lions going Tyree Wilson. I'm perfectly fine with this. I know a lot of Lions fans are not. I think that Josh Pascal has a future as a defensive interior. I would honestly use Tyree on the outside. I think he's athletic enough. The only reason he hasn't tested, I believe, is because he just had foot surgery. But he was even trying to do it for a pro day, and he's holding his own, which is, it's perfectly fine. It's not like, we know that he has play speed. He's able to track down running backs. He has an incredible frame at 35.5-inch arms at 6'6". He's going to be a great talent, and I think the Lions could always use help at edge rusher. I know you got a DPR there in Houston, but, besides that, what do you have than Aiden Hutchinson? To me, I don't really see that true number 2 edge rusher that is going to be an every down player. I love Tyree because he's also an asset in the run defense. Vegas Raiders going Christian Gonzalez. I'm a fan of this one. You have time to develop him, and, I think that the Raiders could still be looking for a QB, but I honestly think it's a very smart move to start building pieces for the long run. And if this job security of the GM and head coach are secure, which, based on the fact they're, I believe, still paying 2 or 3 coach salaries, it probably is. This is a great move because you are actually building for the future rather than for the present, and being able to, do what's best for the team is something that I love to see rather than what's best for your job. Atlanta Falcons going LVN. I don't know. I don't like Lucas Van Ness, so I'm going to try to take it through the perspective of someone who does. I think Edge is an amazing pick for the Falcons. I just don't like Lucas Van Ness that much. So for me, I would say Myles Murphy would be the better pick. But again, it doesn't really matter. If you like one guy over another, that's what makes this industry so awesome. We watch the exact same film and come away with different perspectives. So Lucas Van Ness, or I'll just take it as edge rusher to the Falcons, is a good move. Bears going Darnell Wright. So as you see below my face, Darnell is my number 1 offensive tackle in the class. Intriguing that they would get a right tackle. Well, actually, no, that's total bullshit. They definitely should be going after a right tackle. Braxton Jones did a very good job at left. He was actually ranked number 1 on multiple people's offensive tackle for rookie rankings postseason. So good to see him have a good enough amount of success there. Darnell would be excellent next to Tevin Jenkins. That'd be great. Crazy amount of athleticism, also combined with crazy amount of power. Seems like a really good combination. So I was taken aback in a moment. I'm a huge fan of it. Personally, if I'm the Bears, this is my master strategy. This is if everything goes very well. Bears, swap picks with the Titans, get Jeffrey Simmons. I think that's quite possible. Then you can select Darnell Wright, or you can even trade back a little bit further. Maybe there's a QB there, and then you'll be perfectly fine. You can get maybe an extra first-round pick, then draft Darnell Wright. I'm perfectly fine with him being taken at 9. but I think that if you can like end up taking, one of the Titans dudes in Jeffrey Simmons, that'd be pretty damn awesome. Eagles going Peter Skoronski. Like, I do understand they like having a contingency plan for the future. I just feel like with the moves they are making, they're trying to do a one final push. And like, if they're in win now mode, a lot of the times for the Eagles past, they've been more so gearing up towards trying to win. Like, they're going all in on these 1-year contracts. I just don't know if the most valuable pick they have will be used as something more long term. I personally wouldn't mind it myself because I think he'll be a star guard, and I think that you'll kick Jurgens to center, and I think you'll have a great continuation of the offensive line. But Bijan's the biggest needle mover. If you're looking at the biggest wins above replacement in the short run, that might be what your ideal pick would be, and how he likes to go offense. So it does fit the bill. But Peter Skoronski, to me, it's not an awful pick at all. You could look at an edge rusher like Myles Murphy, who just tested out almost identically, besides the 3-cone, which was significantly worse, to Travon Walker. It definitely might have rebounded his value back up into the top 15, which is incredible because y'all know how much I love me some Myles Murphy. Next, you got the Titans going Paris Johnson. I love that they're valuing offensive line. And it's nice to see that the Titans are able to rebuild their offensive line if this is what happens. Steelers trade up to get Broderick Jones. It is possible based on 2 tackles going that, the Jets are probably going to take one. So moving up, it sucks. But, for this price, it's not awful. You do need to be able to at least help the offensive line a little bit. Maybe I would just say sit there. You do have tackles for 1 more year at least. Graham Barton is a guy for next year's class I would love to look at. He was going to actually end up being like my tackle 3 this year. I love Graham Barton from Duke, but that's a conversation for after the draft, or, we can talk about it for one of my 2024 mocks. But Broderick Jones in itself is a solid pick for the Steelers. I just think that with their free agency moves, they're prioritizing that in free agency, like the offensive line. And I think that defensive back might be the more logical position to go with JPJ still on the board. But again, it's understandable to jump the Jets because they're probably going to take someone like Broderick Jones. Seattle Seahawks move up with the Patriots to get JSN. It'd be intriguing to see how the Patriots pass on someone like JSN, Joey Porter, but maybe they just wanted to get after an offensive tackle. This is a live reaction since I'm not continuing it. So, it is what it is. But I think JSN to the Seahawks is not a bad pick. I think the Seahawks have way too many picks for the amount of needs that they do have, and I think it's perfectly fine for them to move up. For JSN, I'm not as high on him, so I don't really think that moving up for him would be wise, but I do think the idea of them moving up is not essentially an awful idea. Packers going Nolan Smith. I love Nolan Smith. I just think Myles Murphy will fit a little bit better. This was made, I believe, and released before Myles Murphy had his testing, so it's understandable that he's going to go later. Commanders going JPJ, so I just wish the Steelers moved up for JPJ. But I love JPJ. He is my corner number 1. He's my number 2 overall player. I'm just a huge fan of him. Definitely a big need for the Commanders and an excellent value for him too. Texans getting Devon Witherspoon. I think defense is going to be a pick for him. I think Myles Murphy will be a better one. I mean, did I skip Kalijah Cansey? I'm so sorry, Jets fans. For you guys who are probably already commenting that might be intriguing because I don't know if defensive interior is, I don't know if Kalijah's worth it at that point, but it's something I've never thought about because I personally, looking at what they have, linebacker's not good enough value. That's a sticky position, actually. I would have traded out of that pick. Personally, I would have traded out of there. But Kalijah, intriguing option. Him and next to Quentin Williams would be really, really nice. I don't know. I'd rather probably address that in free agency, though. But Devon Witherspoon, intriguing. I would, again, go Myles Murphy here. I'm a big Myles guy. But him going next to Stingley would be insane. That would be a really nasty duo. I just re-evaled Devon again. And he just ran a 4.42 to 4.46. I tend to lean on the more pessimistic side on pro day numbers, so I'll go 4.46. It's still perfectly fine. That's the same as Joey Porter. So I'm not going to trash JPJ for it. I'm not going to trash Devon for it either. Lions going Quentin Johnson, I think, is an excellent pick. Without DJ Chark there, you need a boundary wide receiver. Buccaneers going Will McDonald. Intriguing to see him go this high, but Iowa State had a lot of three-man fronts, and for a dude who's literally like 235, 240, you're never set up for success in that. So it's good to see that, through the Senior Bowl process, we were able to see his talent reemerge, because he started out the year as my edge number 4, fell off a little bit, but seeing him in action on his own got to raise him back up the board. Patriots Bijan, there is the idea that there is a blue chip running back that they're trying to get. So this does actually line up with what they're talking about. Chargers Kincaid, I wish that Mike brought up the fact that the OC, Kellen Moore, loves tight ends. He obviously used Dalton Schultz, which I'm surprised he didn't go to the Chargers. He used him quite a bit, so he's getting a new Dalton in the building. Dalton Kincaid's an excellent receiving weapon. Rams move up with the Ravens. Hello. I know that this was something that was brought up. Just like Will Levis, totally forgot that he was even on the board. I like evaluating the picks themselves, because once you start saying who's here and who's not, like, if you do that for every pick, you're going to go absolutely insane. But Will Levis to the Rams would be an incredible, incredible idea. But yes, I totally agree. The injury history is a big question mark for Matthew Stafford's future. So honestly, I think for that value, that's incredible too. For your second and third round pick, I think that's really, really good. Vikings going Jordan Addison. It's a nice pairing up with Justin Jefferson. So I like it. Jaguars going Darnell Washington. I'd rather go Anton Harrison here myself. I know I just literally talked about how I don't look at the players on the board, but I'd rather go DB or Anton Harrison myself. I think that Mercedes Lewis coming back is not a bad idea, and Dougie loves his tight ends, but I would honestly wait for round number 2. Giants Emmanuel Forbes. I love Emmanuel Forbes. I just am worried about the weight. I don't really know how to evaluate that. I'll be completely blunt. Cowboys Michael Mayer. You kind of just got rid of one of your top tight ends. It does make sense to, add another one. You're still trying to load up on the offense, and running back is not good enough value. Breezy for the Bills. Intriguing. But, the value of having someone who has that upside is incredible. It's nice to see that Breezy's value has declined, because it was a bit much for someone where you watch the on-field play, watch the fact that he's not really available on the field. It was tough to see him be going like the top 5, top 10. Pick number 28 for the Bengals, Anton, is a perfect selection. Another reason I think the Bills should take Anton is because you're also taking him away from the Bengals, also taking him away from the Chiefs down here. Saints going Mozzie Smith is perfectly fine. I actually just rewatched his tape versus Steve Avila, because I think that's a great matchup to watch. Both of them performed very admirably, and both of them moved up my board. For a team that's looking for a true defensive interior who has a lot of upside, this is probably perfect value. So I think that's perfectly fine. Eagles going Zay Flowers. I think if he's there, it's not a bad pick. If I'm not mistaken, I think I've done Zay Flowers to the Eagles a while ago. So, they went... what did they go after? I forgot. Oh, they went Skoronski. So offense twice in the first round is intriguing. But they did patch a lot of holes in free agency on the defense. So I can't really complain too much. I'd rather go Brian Branch myself there, but, we can hold ourselves back on it. Chiefs going Miles Murphy is literally a godsend. If he's there, literally rush in the card and thank the Lord. Steelers going FAU. Intriguing that they would do that instead of maybe bring on Bud Dupree. I think that you still could address a defensive back here. Deontay Banks still on the board. Brian Branch still on the board. I'd prefer to do that, but you guys know me. I love my Felix, and I'll scroll down so you guys get to see more of my board as well. Brian Branch to the Texans, to me, is perfectly fine. You brought on Jimmy Ward, if I'm not mistaken, in the offseason. That would be a nasty safety trio. Arizona Cardinals going Joe Tippmann. Center is a high value position, or a high need position, and maybe lower value. Why the first one's going here. Joe Tippmann has a lot of upside, and, someone who I've gotten more fond of in the offseason process. Colts going Drew Sanders. Intriguing to see him replace Okereke, but incredible player. He is my linebacker 1. Ravens getting DeJuan Jones. Ooh, that's interesting. He needs time to develop, in my opinion, before truly being ready to step on the field. He's done a great job in the offseason developing, but I don't think he's there yet. Having a year behind Ronnie Stanley would be awesome. And again, there you go. Bronny has not been the most reliable guy. Seahawks getting Deontay Banks would be incredible value. I think he should be a top 20 pick. Raiders going Osiris Torrance. If he's there, that's where it can make sense for me. So that's fine. Panthers going Adebawore. I mean, you're going to stick him on the inside of that 3-4, but I think that is pretty awesome. And he has the speed to be able to kick on the outside if you need him to. Saints going Jalen Hyatt. That's some slim-ass dudes there in that receiving core, but I do not mind it whatsoever because that is speed, and more speed. Tennessee Titans going John Michael Schmitz. I think it's perfectly fine. I think Ben Jones is adios. Then Green Bay Packers. So they're going to have 3 picks in 4 spots, if I'm not mistaken. They go Hendon Hooker, Sam Laporta, and Keanu Benton. We're going to take it as a cluster pick. So we'll evaluate those, and then we'll evaluate the Falcons right after it. Hendon Hooker's intriguing. You're already kind of like doing this to Jordan, but it is a second-round pick. It's not a first-round pick, so it is what it is. It's very good, very good security, especially since you'll eventually have to pay Jordan Love, and you don't always want to have to pay that high price tag, especially if Hendon Hooker is a valuable asset. Sam Laporta is incredible. Obviously, you guys know me. I love taking Sam Laporta to the Packers. And then Keanu Benton, I don't mind it at all. I think they could always get some extra help on that defensive interior, of course, with Dean Lowry gone. But of course, they do have a first-round defensive interior that I would hope to step up even more. Cody Mauch, I just don't know after you paid so much for Chris Lindstrom in the offseason that it's going to be worth it for a guy who probably will end up being a guard. But, Cody Mauch is still... I'll never shame a team for going O-line. Patriots going Julius Brents. So you trade back, you get a really blue-chip running back. He definitely fits it in Bijan. And then you get Julius Brents. Definitely, Joejuan Williams was supposed to be that big, freaky dude and then never got to be. I'm watching Julius Brents. I'm going to be honest. I'm a little bit worried about his reaction time on out routes, even against Cam Latu. Had a tough time, man. Had a really tough time. So I would just be a little bit concerned about that with the Patriots system, but lots of upside there for sure. Matt Bergeron, I'm just not super high on Matt Bergeron. His hands are just atrocious. He always likes to reach on the outside too. I just don't like a tackle that, cannot keep his hands inside the pad level and have some good pop to him. Detroit Lions going Steve Avila. Yeah, he moved up my board a little bit as well. Now he is at 48, Mozzie at 49 on my board. So, he's spot 48, goes 48. I think this is a good guy to bring on. I know you got Glasgow in the offseason, but he was brought to be a consistent backup, and Steve Avila could be the starter. Pittsburgh Steelers going Cam Smith. I mean, that's fine. I'm not going to complain about it. It's a defensive back. I'd rather go Tyree Stevenson like the Buccaneers did, but Tyree Stevenson's a great player. Good value for the Bucs. Dolphins going Jameer. It's crazy to see these running backs fall. It's hard to say, oh, these guys are, they're better than the guys like Tyree Stevenson, Cam Smith. It's tough to take a running back above them when you already know, hey, if I wait till the 3rd round and these guys go, I can still get guys like Sean Tucker. I can still get, I'm forgetting the kid from Tulane. You can get really good value there. Seahawks going Thule. I think that's perfectly fine. You're also probably used to seeing him because I think USC went up to Washington to play, but regardless, you're in the Pac-12 area. You've seen plenty of Thule. Bears going BJ Ojulari. He's incredible. He's my number 7 player in the draft. He actually might be my number 6. He is my number 6. So love him for that. The Chargers going Josh Downs. Yeah, I think that's fine. That's perfectly fine. He's somebody who Mike used to feature in the 1st round. Don't know why he fell in this one, but good players fall. Jack Campbell, 2nd linebacker off the board. I love me some Jack Campbell. This is a perfect fit. I wish he were a Steeler, personally, but, it is what it is. Jaguars going Isaiah Foskey. That's fine. You guys like to have the high upside edge rushers who are still a little bit raw. I'm not going to complain too much about it, especially since Arden Key is bye-bye. Giants getting Trent Simpson. Their linebacking core is going to be insane, but I am not complaining. Cowboys then getting Devon A-Chain. You're pretty much just saying, Tony Pollard, goodbye, my good friend. Of course, PFF did just drop a new crazy offense graphic where CeeDee Lamb apparently tied running back 1, so might not need Devon A-Chain there as a receiving back, but Devon does have that crazy upside, all jokes aside. He would be a very nice, cheaper option than Tony Pollard in the long run. Bills going Chandler Zavala. I still need to do my full eval on him, so I'm not going to comment too much on it, but never going to fault a team for going O-line. Bengals going Luke Musgrave. Glad to see it's in round 2 and not round 1. Bears, Derek Hall. It's one of those dream fits, I said. So definitely a big supporter of it. Eagles, Jordan Battle. Oh, it's so close to going Sidney Brown. I'm just going to pretend that's Sidney Brown there instead because I love Sidney Brown. But I just don't like Jordan Battle that much. That's my personal opinion. Kansas City Chiefs going Tucker Kraft. Glad to see it's here at the end of round 2 and not the end of round 1. But I do think that tight end's not a bad move for them at all with a 34-year-old Travis Kelce. Chicago Bears and going Gervin. It's tough to see him be worth that high after seeing how little of a shit he gave when you did watch him play this past season. But the potential's there, and I just hope that, maybe it was just something that the coaching staff was just like abusive or like verbally abusive or something, just to where he didn't want to play for him. Like, I hope that's the case, and maybe it was just a really shitty coaching staff. Because he was top 15 for me at one point, and he's fallen quite extensively. Texans then going Luke Whippler is incredible value, good for them. They are looking still for a center. Cardinals going DJ Turner. I think that's amazing. I love DJ Turner. He's actually number 68 on my board, so he's definitely in that range. 4.27 speed, impeccable. Broncos going Clark Phillips would be ridiculously valuable as well. I'm not going to complain about that. And they get Cedric Tillman. They are looking to upgrade or swap out at that wide receiver position. Definitely, if they lose Cortland Sutton, this would be a pretty damn solid replacement. Ravens going Keon White. I mean, Ravens just don't need much. That's just the issue. They just don't need much. So it's good value for that pick. Raiders going Antonio Johnson's perfect. He put up like 8 bench press reps. Kind of weird, but it is what it is. Saints going Nick Herbig. It actually fits with what they used to do. I'm pretty sure. I'm forgetting the guy's name. Zach Bond. Also linebacker edge rusher from Wisconsin that they drafted before, I believe in the 3rd round. So makes sense. Keely Ringo to the Titans is incredible value. I continue saying that, but there's just really good value picks here. There's Tyjae Spears, by the way, guy who I forgot the name of earlier. But yeah, getting extra corner help is also something I'm never going to fault a team for. Diane Henley, good value in the 3rd round for D'Amico to be able to mold. Cleveland Browns, Zach Harrison, probably without Jadeveon Clowney, this is a big position of need, and being able to move back to the spot, or I think they moved back to another spot, is still, you're getting a very, very solid selection here. Falcons getting Tyjae Spears. I forgot what he ran in the 40s, but I feel like he's honestly more patient than anything, and I don't know if I'd really need that over Tyler Algier. I'd rather get somebody who's a little bit more electric, like Keaton Mitchell later on, who ran, I believe, in the 4.3s as well. But Tyjae is a great player. Patriots going Michael Wilson. I feel like it's a little redundant with Juju, but, who am I to say that? Rams, Jalen Duncan. I just don't like Jalen Duncan. I really don't. I just don't think he's a good football player. But I do understand when people do like him. It's just, he's just not good on the field. And I think the Rams would probably be the team to draft someone like that. Packers going Anthony Johnson out of Iowa State. I haven't studied him enough. I've studied other players from Iowa State secondary, TJ Tampa for one of them. Never thought to look at Anthony Johnson, but good thing to note. Zach Pickens for the Colts. I think that would probably be one of their later picks. I feel like my mindset and the Colts are very similar on defensive tiers since they brought Eric Johnson on from the Senior Bowl a couple years ago. And I loved Eric Johnson. So I don't know. Zach Pickens is solid. I could totally see it happening, but I don't know. Maybe I feel like, what's his name? Silvera would be one of those dudes later around that the Colts would like to take. Another really good penetrator. Texans going Tyler Scott. You're kind of replacing your, I don't think I keep wanting to say Hollywood Brown. Tank Dell go? Because I think this would be perfect for Tank Dell to be able to replace Brandon Cooks. But Tyler Scott, not a bad one either. Tanner McKee, great fit for the Lions. That's one of my dream fits. Marvin Mims, I mean, that's great value for him as well. For the Buccaneers, you're going to get a starting quality deep threat receiver. Siaki Ika, the 7-Eleven man himself, going to the Patriots. I'm not going to comment on that for his emotional sake. Tank Dell to the Dolphins. More speed. You guys like those tiny guys, huh? I can't really complain. Chargers going Zach Charbonnet, keeping him in Los Angeles. Shout out to my buddy right there. Baltimore Ravens, Tyler Steen. Intriguing that they'll kick him to the interior of the offensive line, but, more offensive line, the better. Corey Trice out of Purdue. He has some good production there. Vikings could definitely take advantage of that. Garrett Williams of the Jaguars is awesome. I have him as a top 40 player in the class. Giants going Jonathan Mingo. It's a bigger receiver. You're kind of trying to steal an A.J. Brown mold, so I don't mind it at all. Cowboys going Darius Rush, good developmental corner. I think that maybe there's better guys on the board, but I'm slipping up on who is available. I don't know if Eli Ricks is, but that would be my pick. Buffalo Bills going Kayshawn. He's had an atrocious offseason, but at the start of the year was kind of consensus wide receiver 1. Bengals, Jamie Robinson. I love that pick for him. Big fan of that one. Jamie Robinson's a good safety. Carolina Panthers, Rashee Rice. That's a big wide receiver. Would not mind it. You're kind of having him be an understudy to Thielen. Eagles going Byron Young. I haven't thought about that. Rather than going Nolan Smith early, this would be a very good value pick to grow under Hassan. Lighter, very athletic player out of Tennessee. Chiefs going Wanya Morris. It's a good guy to develop for a right tackle too. Jair Brown for the Cardinals. I could see that happening as well. Commanders going Jatavius Martin. I'm not super high on Jatavius Martin, but that's just me. Jaden Reed out of Michigan State going to the Browns. Sidney Brown hasn't even gone. Oh, come on. Sidney Brown's so much better than Jatavius. I know they play different roles, but still. Jaden Reed for the Browns. I feel like it's starting to get a little bit redundant in terms of the speed aspect that they have there. Niners going Blake Freeland's impeccable value. Raiders going Isaiah McGuire, my boy. I'm going to start reclaiming him because I'm just going to bet on his upside from the tape rather than the atrocious offseason. He's going to do well there in Las Vegas. Niners then going Sidney Brown, who I have as a top 32 player, and Luke Schoonmaker, who a lot of people really like. Overall, man, I've seen so many worse mock drafts than this. Mike Renner knows what the hell he's doing. Everybody's going to get pissed off in some way, shape, or form at some of these picks. So that's going to be it all. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the far side.